Up on.
Is that like what Facebook tells you have friends, but you actually don't have any friends?
It's just marketing bots.
All right, we up? Confirmed?
It says we're live on everything.
Confirmatory?
So, yep. Wow, we got a bunch of questions on YouTube.
Yeah? Wow. Oh, geez, they're pouring in.
Good.
We're going to have to crank through these this week. All right, Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Welcome to episode 129. 034 Motorsport Live Chat. We're here to answer all your burning automotive and 034 related questions. Also happy to answer questions about anything else like clubbing, dance moves.
Oh, I'll let you do the answer there.
Yeah. Crocheting. We know about all kinds of stuff.
Needlepoint.
We like to take a no BS approach to answering and responding to questions. We like to stick to facts whenever possible, but we will also share opinions. If you love us, let us know. If you hate us, please definitely let us know so we can figure out what went wrong. And questions about our history, why we do what we do, we love to answer that kind of stuff as well. We put all the questions into these little digital devices, and I promise I'm not like, on TikTok or anything right now.
Yeah. And these questions do come in from multiple sources. I know some people are like, well, they're not answering my question, or they see or hear questions getting answered that they don't see getting posted where they're watching.
Yeah.
We're getting stuff from several different points. So
we're
getting to you. We're getting everything we can.
And we do reserve the right not to answer a question. Especially this stuff around updates and when's this going to be ready and that stuff. We're doing less of those. So, all right, and we're
not up Facebook. Oh, son of a! It said we were.
It's like how Facebook says you have friends.
Start time. It's all set. Let me. I guess this is going live today. 11. Oh, sweet! No, it just kicked me out of. Okay, give me a second.
It also told me to be ready for it.
Right
at 10:45.
Oh, it's all recorded at least, so we can.
Well, someone says Happy New Year's. Thank you. Happy New Year's back to you.
I can't apparently
2023
even go live.
We haven't done one of these since last year.
We haven't. It's been a while. Changes. Awesome.
All right. Let me just jump on some of these questions while you're doing that.
Yeah. Well, sorry for the. Well, Facebook doesn't know. But.
Yeah. Sorry, Facebook. You're gonna miss out on a couple.
This is ridiculous.
Is the upgraded intercooler actually required? I don't know what tune this is for, but in general, if we say an intercooler is required, then yes, it's required. If we say that an intercooler is recommended, then that means it's not required. It just simply means that you will achieve better performance if you run the intercooler. And so, on any car, even a stock car, you could upgrade the intercooler, and when you will see that benefit is on repeated back-to-back acceleration. So the intercooler can release a certain amount of heat within a certain amount of time before it heat soaks. And that's obviously, based on how fast you're going, how much load you're putting on the engine, things like that. So when you flash your ECU with our tuning, we use the turbo harder. We run more boost. That generates more heat. So that means the factory intercooler will heat soak very quickly. Now, does that mean if you're in third gear and you want to squirt from 3,000 RPM to 6,000 RPM, that a upgraded intercooler make a big difference in that very limited circumstance? Probably not. Probably wouldn't be very noticeable. But if you want to accelerate through that and then shift gears and accelerate through 2 more gears after that, the factory intercooler will heat soak right away. And then what will eventually happen is our tune will start pulling boost and load back to generate less heat, so that the stock intercooler can get caught up again. So whenever you increase the cooling capacity of your intercooler, you're allowing the system to deal with more load over a longer period of time. And then as ambient temperatures go up, this becomes dramatically more important. You could get away with a lot smaller intercooler when it's 50 degrees out, but when it's 95 degrees out, the amount of intercooler you need grows dramatically. Are we up?
Nope, I have no ability to turn this on Facebook. This is a steaming pile. Yeah, there's really no way I can turn this off.
Just got the 034 rear sway bar installed on my TTRS. Great, by the way. But would you recommend the front one? Yes, on a TTRS, which is an MQB platform, that car drives a lot like a front-wheel drive car, even though it's quote-unquote quattro. A lot of the time you're driving and cornering. The Hall X is not necessarily sending power to the rear tires. So the car is driving like a front-wheel drive car. So we strongly recommend the front sway bar, which will not only reduce body roll, it will reduce understeer. It'll also give you more grip and traction through the corners because there'll be less tendency to lift your inside front wheel off the ground. Someone says, I appreciate Kenji and the customer support team. Great to hear. That's literally what they're there for, is to get comments like that. Customer satisfaction. Still working on it, huh?
Dude, there's like literally no way to currently turn this on.
Someone's asking if we do ported blowers now. We do not. We do not sell any service related to porting blowers. And I don't think we ever will. I believe there's plenty of people doing it out there. Some are more reputable than others. I'd recommend looking into that.
Yeah, we just have to pull the plug on Facebook. There's literally...
Seriously? Like restart or something?
Killed it, completely started over the stream. So I'll keep poking at it, but...
That sucks. I don't know if we want to... Is there a way to tell people on Facebook to go to Instagram?
That their platforms are... Let's see here. Yep, literally everything is working except the go live button.
All these questions are from last week. Oh.
It's a mix. A lot of them are from today, actually.
Rolling anti-lag still coming for B9 RS5. Yes. Yes, that's something we will release. It's part of our advanced launch control. Can a bad O2 sensor make me slower? Just went stage 3 last week, and I'm running the same times as when I'm in stage 2. Got the O2 sensor code after installing the new turbo.
I mean,
not really.
Not really, but it's you want those working for sure.
Yeah, you definitely want to address your O2 sensor issue.
Bless you.
O2 sensor issue, whatever it is. But feel free to email us at tuning@034motorsport.com so we can help support you and figure out what's going on. It could be that they flashed like a stage 1 file and a stage 2 or something weird like that.
Yeah, I don't know. We'd have to look, but we
need to verify
all that.
what file has that.
Facebook just decided now it's 11 o'clock, so if you guys want to...
Really?
It just randomly started.
It's on?
11:09.
Okay,
Yep.
it's a new year. All right, if you're watching us on Facebook, we're sorry. Facebook was doing Facebook things.
It Facebooked itself.
But we should be up and running now. We're just kind of getting going here. I notice people are pushing through with stage 3 power levels.
Pushing through?
I love how things just move around mid-sentence. Any
Any
plans to address that? I don't know what pushing through is.
What is pushing through?
If they're sitting on the brake, they like slowly roll against the brake.
Okay.
Sometimes if they're like popped or something like that, it's just...
I mean, so it sounds like it means they're overpowering the brakes on launch.
That seems.
Which is, I mean, it's possible.
That seems like they're not pushing hard enough on the brakes.
Yeah, we can generate enough to push through.
Yeah.
At that point, I mean, you've got so much torque
Really hard
preloaded, though, you can not have your right foot down as far either. But yeah, I mean, you're sitting on there for a while then to get that much torque built up. So
the amount of torque it takes to overpower a brake
we can push through.
Stop is
We can 100% push through
but
these brakes.
you're generating a tremendous.
You're not going to leave the line without massively just lighting the wheel.
It doesn't seem like that would be a good launch anyway. Eventually, our advanced launch control will address anything like that. B9 RS5 working towards stage 3 with downpipes installed. Can we get a modified tune so the engine light isn't on until we go full stage 3? Currently on stage 1 plus with downpipes. We will not be offering a stage 2 file.
There's no point.
I would say just install your factory cats because your aftermarket cats aren't benefiting you anything right now. Sorry. We would have released that tune. The RS5 has 2 very high flowing cat units that both as a combination, 2 smaller cats flow more than 1 big one. And yeah, you're just kind of using your high flow cat up for no reason. So I would say just put your stock ones back on. And then when you actually need the cats, they'll be waiting for you. Returning the B9 S4 to stock, trigger TD1 question mark. Is there like a text limit? Some of these,
I know.
like
it's
like an incomplete sentence.
Actually, like type in real questions. We'll read them out.
I'm assuming it's asking if returning a B9 S4 to stock will trigger TD1. It should not.
It should not. TD1's I mean, I don't know the entire scope of what will flag it as a TD1. We do our best to prevent that from happening on all these. The ECU, we will reset all the flash counters on a majority of these ECUs, B9 S4 included.
Here's the deal. Unless the dealer can prove that you have flashed the ECU, which they can't, even with the flash counter, they can't prove it, then there would be no basis for TD1. You could fight it. I would say generally the most common thing is you flash back to stock, you go to the dealership and you have no issues. We don't guarantee anything. And honestly, if you have a sticker on your car, they can TD1 you. If you have like a decal, if you put like a Summit Racing sticker on your window, they can TD1 you. There's not necessarily any rhyme or reason to it. If the tech's having a bad day or he hates your guts, he could TD1 you for no reason. I mean, they just push a button and you're TD1. There's no like application process.
Justin got denied a warranty claim on his M2 because they looked at his Instagram account and saw videos of him on track.
Oh, you're not supposed to track your M2 competition?
Yeah. One of our marketing guys got denied a warranty claim because the dealership looked at his Instagram account and saw he had gone on track. Actually, when we bought our original 8V or 8V S3, the factory turbo blew, which was
completely
common. There was a TSB out for it, and it happened to blow up. It was actually
on the way home.
On the way home from Laguna. But when I took it to the dealership to get it warranted, it had our springs and sway bars and a lot of our chassis parts on it. So the dealership really didn't like that. And then they said because I had gone on track that they were going to deny the warranty claim and TD1 the car. And then I kindly let them know that it was at an Audi Club high performance driving event, which they sponsored.
Yeah, sponsored by Audi.
And magically, all the work was done and there was no TD1. And then I also pointed out online all the TSBs about the turbo.
Turbo failures were not a new thing.
But I think mostly Justin, they just saw Justin and they're just like, this kid's
this guy.
This kid is just bad news.
Trouble.
All his tattoos and earrings. So no, you should be fine. Don't stress. You do have some rights. You are the customer. And again, there's no rhyme or reason to any of it. So.
We do our best to make it as transparent as possible. After the fact, if you've gone back to stock, you should be in full stock form.
The best solution is honestly a human one. When you take your car and bring the service writer a 6-pack of beer or something, ask him, what's his favorite restaurant, bring him a Chipotle gift certificate or something,
Ask him his favorite and then just bring him a Chipotle gift certificate.
Well, he'll probably say Chipotle because he likes to shit himself, and then you just give him $25, But those are the kind of things that they're going to make your life easier at the dealership if you have any concerns. Or just don't be an asshole. Be a nice person. It usually helps. Ask them how their day went.
Really slammed on Justin.
Are we going to crack BMW ECUs? Yes, we are a BMW tuning company. We have entered the BMW tuning space as of the last few years, and we do have some plans to do some BMW tuning. Right now, we have our all the BMW competitors out there can take a breath of relaxation because we have a full plate of Audi, Volkswagen applications that we're busy with. But definitely something I think later this year or next year we want to really start getting serious about. If you're on here interested in our new GTI Mark 8 tuning, hang tight. We're going to have a segment about that in 5 or 10 minutes. We're just trying to get some of these other questions out of the way. We're also going to talk about these sexy forged aluminum control arms that are here before me as well. All right, so this came up recently. When doing calibrations for a car, do you add extra sensors to the vehicle to monitor other parameters? Is this necessary when calibrating a tune? So this came up last week or the last few days. But we were basically informed by a mutual customer that Tyler from Integrated Engineering said that we do not use any sensors. We do not use any kind of advanced data logging when we do tuning.
Sensory deprived.
Sensory deprivation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where he got that from. It's complete made up fabrication. It's frankly a lie. I think everyone knows, like, you know, we do have some animosity with Integrated Engineering and we're not friendly competitors, but we never lie about what they do. And in this case they have lied.
Or go out of our way to...
Yeah. It would be good, I mean, if they just stuck to the facts, but in the past this came up and
yeah, we were trying to figure out what that stemmed from.
Well, apparently last year when someone asked us about this picture of an APR engine with sensors all over it, Nate and I's response was that the level of censoring that APR did was not necessary. It was overkill. My impression was that it makes for a nice picture and a nice marketing message. You know, if 2 sensors are good, 17 sensors must be better, and maybe 30 is even better than that.
Don't misinterpret that to mean that, like, we don't want data or wouldn't, you know.
Well, I think
it's a matter of, like, how much do you need to get the job done? How much is frankly too much to make, you know,
yeah.
You know, you can't actually end up getting through your project because you're sitting here poring over data that you may not, you know.
Well, I think that's where
need or know what to interpret or how to interpret it or use it. You know, so there's a ton of stuff you can always add more, and it's just not necessarily going to help in the end goal for the calibration effort. Now, if it's hardware design, we have sensors for different things for hardware design. It's calibration, we have different, you know, tools and measurements and sensors and stuff we use.
Well, I think that's where Tyler from IE got a little confused and ran a little too enthusiastically. Is we're not here to say that you should run 17 or 30 sensors or that more sensors is always better. Whenever you're doing any type of engineering, any type of experimentation, any kind of design or development, and you're using data, which you always should be, there are certain pieces of data that are helpful, and then there's the excess of data or information that you don't really need. So actually in a data set, it's very common to filter out all the data you don't need, so that you can use the data that actually is correlated or linked to the results you're trying to generate. That in of itself is proof that more data isn't better. In fact, the challenge with data is to find the data that you actually need. And so if we took the position that we have thousands of data points via the factory ECU and the OBD system, and we can add 2 more sensors to give us all the data we need to create the best, most safe and high performance tune possible, then why would we use 3 or 5 sensors and to give us more data that we don't need? So we do use sensors, we do use data.
Yeah, if there's a need for it, we'll have it.
And there almost always is.
Yeah, when we're on track, like right now, our Mk7 GTI is sensored up because we were chasing some some hardware stuff that wasn't being logged, oil pressure stuff. I mean, we've got a dash in the car that's logging the thing.
A full logging dash that captures a lot of data.
Yeah, and so I mean, we will add whatever we need to accomplish it.
And then on these like stage 3 applications, we carefully censor and log exhaust manifold pressure because it starts becoming the choke point, and you have to take that into consideration. There isn't a factory sensor for that, and there's no model mapping data in the ECU. So
it is modeled, but yeah, we're so far beyond.
It's modeled for the stock turbo, not for the 810 horsepower turbo. So, we just want to set the record straight. We are an engineering company. We do use sensoring data logging. We gather and process and observe a tremendous amount of data in all of our tuning and engineering.
Yeah, we do go a lot further too on the ECU side to get what we need out of that. Where I know there's a lot of calibration or tuners out there that will rely on just kind of off the shelf, VCDS or whatever you get normal OBD channels. Generally, we haven't had a car where we've had just OBD logging in, I don't know, many years. We write our own software that does full, internal ECU RAM logging from, the actual variable that's being manipulated in the functions we're looking at. So we do our best to get as deep into the ECU as we want to.
We create innovative, data collection systems that don't exist. So that, you can't go around doing these calibrations blind. I think Tyler's a marketing guy, so he doesn't really know what it takes to develop a tune. But there would be virtually impossible to do the kind of tuning that we do at the level we do without advanced data collection. So one thing you can guarantee at 034 Motorsport, live free tuning. So, available now, ready to flash. We did reach out to Tyler. He offered to delete the sentence, but I don't think he was willing to set the record straight. So we had to kind of come out and address this directly. So sorry about that. But you need to make sure that everyone has the correct understanding of what we do at this company when it comes to engineering. All right. Do you know how long it would take for Stage 2 TCU to be released? I don't want to tune my Mk8 GTI until Stage 2 TCU is released. Also, any timeline on TCUs that are not supported?
I don't know why you would wait necessarily.
There's no reason to wait.
It's a free TCU tune. The TCU... There's not a lot that you're going to get like raw performance wise on the Stage 2 file just from a shift point perspective because the stock turbo is kind of running out of steam up top. Mm-hmm. So winding the thing out to $7,000 is not necessarily going to be any faster at all for you. And that's really the big unlock with the Stage 2 stuff is moving that shift point up. So I wouldn't say it's anything you need to wait for.
You should not wait. I don't know what that's going to accomplish.
It's a free.
You will get you will get a free TCU file from this. As far as Stage 2 TCU, it's something we're working on. It's not that far out. I'm hesitant to put a time on it, but it's not going to be a long time to get that out.
Yeah,
and you'll honestly make more power with our Stage 1 ECU and TCU than you will with the competition, and you'll have E85 compatibility, which is a huge asset. Follow-up question. Someone says, try your best to make me regret my Unitronic team. Well, listen, we are head-to-head now with Unitronic because it's us, Unitronic. Racing Line, our partners also released tuning recently. We like Unitronic. They're great guys. I've known Mike Z for 15, 20 years. We both kind of started around the same time. John Staffy's a great guy. I consider him a friend. With that said, we do have competitive products in the market. And I promise not to ever ad hominem attack Unitronic, which means I'm not going to attack their character or who they are because I think they're great people. Unlike some of our other competitors, which I do think could use some therapy. So Unitronic released, they had the first mover advantage, but with first mover comes some disadvantages. And I think Apple's learned this lesson well over the years. They're almost never the first to come out. they're usually a close second, and they learn from the first mover, and then we saw what Unitronic did. Didn't really change what we were doing, but we were able to release a Stage 1 tune that makes great power and performance with a Stage 1 TCU torque adaptation. And so, we were able to offer a cheaper tune that makes more torque with E85 compatibility. Let's see. It's on sale right now for $455.
Price point's definitely
and our sale goes for another 3 days. So now is a great time to jump on.
Yep.
And then if you buy our Stage 1 with Stage 1 TCU now, when we release Stage 2, there will be a special discount for anyone who already owns Stage 1 for a kind of early adopter discount. So for sure, this is the best time to buy a very powerful, competitive tune. 034 Motorsport engineering, all of our sensibilities and drivability are maximum performance with safety systems fully intact. And then once you buy into our tuning, you are bought into all of our future developments as well. So future developments meaning that you will get additional features and functionality for free or heavily discounted because you already own our Stage 1. If you look at what we do for B8, B9, and other applications, you can see that we're out there setting world records. We're pushing performance and safety as top priorities. As far as a company that really gets behind an application product and supports it. I think, one advantage Unitronic has is they support a lot of different applications, including in other brands and marks. We're focused on Volkswagen, Audi. And so I think it's safe to say we will give the Mk8 GTI more attention than Unitronic will, or anyone, frankly. APR, they'll release a tune soon. They'll release their Stage 1 and they'll just move on. I think if IE gets into it, they typically dive deep like we do. But I think Unitronic, they brought a great tune to market. They were the first on the market. It's a good option.
Yeah.
But if you're really looking to buy into a company that lives and breathes high performance Volkswagen performance, with the Mk8 GTI being a huge priority for us moving forward, now is the time to get in for $455. You're going to buy into that. So when we release Stage 2 TCUs, eventually we'll release the Golf R turbo upgrade. We're already working on some drop-in hybrid turbo options. It's very possible in the next year or two, your Mk8 GTI from us could be making 600 horsepower with bolt-ons. It's a pretty exciting time for these cars. But the power and performance that you're seeing from us already is impressive. Since we're talking Mk8 GTI, let's jump into a few things. So this came up recently. Someone was asking about dyno chart smoothness. So before we're gonna show a graphic, but there was some talk online that people were comparing our advertised dyno charts to Unitronic's, and because Unitronic's lines looked smoother, there was this assumption that their tune must be smoother. So that's just not true. I'm not saying Unitronic's tune isn't smooth. What I'm saying is you cannot tell how smooth a tune is necessarily from looking at manipulated, chart lines like what Unitronic and 034 Motorsport and other companies produce.
Yeah, I mean the biggest offender is honestly the OEMs. Like if you look at factory,
they're not the worst. They have very smooth.
Yeah, if you look at a dyno plot from a manufacturer on when they release a new model, it's like 4 or 5 points is about all you're gonna get. You can get where the torque starts, where the torque plateau kind of ends, and where it falls off at red line.
Yeah,
and that's literally it. It's like the most data deprived chart you could imagine.
So if you ever made a chart in Excel, or you took a basic math class, if you remember from high school or college, there is a function when it comes to graphing called smoothing. And when you smooth a graph, you reduce the amount of data points to create a line that's possibly more representative of the information you're looking to represent.
Yeah.
So there's nothing wrong with smoothing, but if you don't smooth enough, the line isn't going to really represent what you need it to. And if you over smooth it, it's not going to represent it either. So what's the most smooth line you can get? It's 1 data point, which isn't even a line. So 2 data points would be a very smooth data set, and you'd have a straight line between 2 data points. You could do that with a dyno chart. You could have peak torque, onset, and torque at red line, and it would be it would basically be a triangle. But by smoothing the data, you create something that's more representative of what you actually feel. So when it comes to a dyno chart, what are we trying to create? We're trying to create lines that represent to you, the person who's driving, approximately what you would feel as you accelerate through the torque curve, through the horsepower curve. And so let's play this. So, sure. So I had Nate take our current advertised lines, which is what you're seeing now, and then this is a smoothed version of that. These are both the same tune.
It's the same data, honestly.
Same exact data with some data manipulated, but it's the same set of data.
It's not manipulated. It's just removing some points here and there.
Well, that's the manipulation.
I'm sorry. Yeah, but the core data, the numbers are not changed. So
same data set, but with a different treatment of the data to produce these graphs. So this is just, we're just showing you. We could have released this. We chose not to because we felt like what we released was more accurate or indicative of what you're actually going to feel when you drive.
And same with the OEM one. If you look, if you look at the OEM number on this, like that's not as tabletop flat as the OEM.
What the OEM one?
It's on the stock one's smooth as well on it.
Okay, yeah.
The bottom.
Well, no, what Audi releases.
Yeah, I'll try and find that out. I'm going to look that up.
It's not to say that Unitronic did a bad thing. That's not what we're saying.
Oh, we're just
they just chose to represent their tune using a different amount of smoothing than we did. Now, keep in mind, the data that comes out of the dyno is literally a cloud of data. So you get a jagged line like this that goes across the chart.
I was actually
it's not even a line.
I was about to talk about that. So, I mean, just think of how an internal combustion engine works, and you cannot dyno a car without smooth. I mean, it is literally, these combustion events are the only thing that is, making that power. So it's a huge, seesawing thing.
So what comes out of the dyno is indecipherable, basically. It's not useful to the human eye or brain. And so you basically average out those extreme points, and you create a line that goes through the data that's representative of what you think the data means. So anyways, this is just simple. If some of you guys are probably like laughing that this is so simple because you deal with data and analysis in your jobs and your day-to-day life, or you learned about this in high school. But there were some people who genuinely thought that this must mean the Unitronic tune is smoother.
And
that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, it's a battle we face because we can just give you the just the more representative data, which may not look as pretty, or we can pretty it up more, but then it doesn't necessarily, it's not what you're going to see on a dyno. And if you've seen any of the dynos out in the real world of these two tunes, they look much more like our chart.
We strive to give an accurate representation of what the engine is doing. And what the engine is doing is not necessarily the result of our tuning. Engines are imperfect. There's resonances, there's massive changes and swings in volumetric efficiency. In some cases, power would normally drop off, and then the cams and the valves are adjusting to bring that power back. So you might see a small dip and then an increase. It doesn't mean that you got a dip. It means you got an increase. But what comes out of an engine is not smooth, like a straight line. It's not even close. So,
anyways, cars, you would get a much smoother line. Even those have a frequency.
They will. Yeah.
So yeah,
no, because there are individual magnetic pulses.
It depends just the resolution you're looking at the data.
Yeah, you should just be skeptical when you see an overly smooth line. And if you see an overly jagged line, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's better either. I would say what we do, we strive to offer the most.
And this data is like straight off the dyno. I mean, this is not, it's not manipulated. It's what you're seeing is what's coming off the dyno.
All right, next question is someone's asking Stage 1 TCU. There was some confusion about what our Stage 1 TCU is. So, what we offer as a Stage 1 TCU is not a full-featured TCU file. So, Racing Line and Unitronic both offer full-featured TCU files. These full-featured TCU files augment the shift speed, the shift RPM. They add additional features for launching and things like that. Our Stage 1 doesn't get, you have to buy those. Those aren't free, right? Those are like $500-600. What we do now, our Stage 1 is free. If you buy the ECU, you get it for free. We don't sell it separately. And it simply modifies the TCU to coordinate with the ECU that the ECU can make more torque. The factory TCU dictates the peak torque that the engine can produce as a way to protect itself. And so we go in and reprogram that, and so that the TCU and ECU work in tandem to help produce peak power and torque. We will be releasing a Stage 2 TCU, which will be more comparable to some of the other companies' Stage 1s, and that's imminent. And that will be our Stage 2 TCU will be a file that's being sold. Again, if you bought our Stage 1, you'll get a discount on that when we release it. Let us know if you have any more questions about that, but that's where the extra power comes from, and that's why our ECU tunes seem so much cheaper, is because we're giving a free TCU that unlocks the additional torque. If we didn't do the TCU Stage 1 like we do, peak torque would be severely limited. How much extra strain does Stage 1 add to the car? It does add some more strain. That's good. It does add some more strain. This is not a new thing. The kind of Stage 1 power levels that we're talking about, we, the tuning industry, have been doing for 20, 30 years now. I'm not aware of any issues or failures or accelerated wear that you'll notice. You could do Stage 1 in the car and you could drive it for 150,000 miles, and I don't think you'll notice much difference. Doesn't mean that the factory turbo will be working harder. It'll be producing more boost. The power that we're producing is well within the strength and wear limits of the factory engine and accessory components. So we can't necessarily dictate exactly how much more strain or wear, but what we can say and promise is that it's well within an acceptable range that anyone would be happy with. All right. You want to throw that up?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
It's a bunch of hoops.
All right. We found the factory.
This is a
factory power
factory example from a Gen 3 like EA AAA 1.8. But
there's 6 points on the torque. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the horsepower.
I'm assuming they matched me.
Yeah. Fuel economy on 91, 93, and E85. So, under the same driving conditions, fuel economy should be identical. We do not hurt the fuel economy, under normal driving conditions. So if you take both cars on the freeway, you're going to get the same mileage. Now, where you will use more fuel is under power, because the engine is producing more power. The only way it can produce more power is with more torque. E85, you will get approximately 20 to 30% worse mileage, but it's that much cheaper and way more fun. But E85 is pretty much a wash. It's cheaper, but you don't get as much mileage out of it. And that's just simply based on this stoichiometric ratio, how much energy that fuel can produce. It's not as efficient or energy filled, energy dense as gasoline. Made from corn, like corn grass and shit like that.
Sure,
it's amazing it produces any power at all. Can I tune my car safely even if my TCU is not supported yet?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, so especially
I mean, the torque will be limited.
It's limited, but on the 91 and 93, it's not that limited. Like it's
well, and
it's almost I mean,
what you're trying to say is it's limited, but the car is still a lot.
it's a lot faster than stock, and there's no real downside to it. We don't manipulate any of the torque output from the ECU. The TCU shifts fine. We've had no issues.
But the question is,
honestly, either file the high torque or the low torque output on the stock TCU. I haven't heard of any issues with either. Or
the question is, can it be done safely? The answer is absolutely yes. All the tunes that we offer are safe. We do not sell any unsafe tunes. Now, granted, our 800 horsepower, B9 S4 tune is not quite as safe just because it's so much further stressed
your margins get
than our stage 1 file. But it's still safe. For a stage 3, it's as safe as you're going to get.
Oh my God. All right. I have a this is a quick, what I could find file.
Right. This is a factory Volkswagen dyno chart.
Yeah, this is a Gen 3 1.8, but that's what I could dig up offhand. But
and I would say, actually, this tune, I mean, generally, our stage 1 tunes drive smoother than stock. So even though those lines are smoother than ours, our tune drives smoother. Again, that's 6 data points on the torque curve and 5 on the horsepower curve. And that's what you get, a series of straight lines, because of the sheer lack of data. It doesn't mean that's definitely not what the engine is doing. But
that's just an example of how
Volkswagen, right? I mean, they're putting this out in the world, and they just want a million people to see it. It works for the purposes that they need.
Yeah, and if you look at the chart we did earlier too, the numbers are identical. So if you look at your peak numbers, you look at the where the peak number is, what it is, it's all the same. It's just how that data is kind of displayed. And I can't think of a single, unless there's something really drastic with it, but where someone was nitpicking over anything other than the peak numbers, basically, it comes off.
Someone's asking, is start-stop memory added?
Yep.
Yes, the car will remember start-stop settings, just like
a bunch of other files. But yeah, it is enabled and should remember where you last set.
And then we did the regret one. On the Mark 8, there are different drive settings. Does your tune retain different drive settings?
Absolutely.
Yes, all the drive modes are retained. Performance is represented in all the different modes.
Yep.
Pathway for future mods. So we will be releasing a stage 2 ECU, which means a high flow cat tune. I think initial testing looks good for that.
Yep.
Flex fuel is something we're working on and we plan to release in the future. For the time being, you just load your tank with the 85, which is pretty nice. Golf R turbo on the GTI is something we're working on.
It's underway.
And hybrid turbo stuff is in its infancy, but it is something we're working on. Yep. It'd be interesting to push these motors to see, how far they can go. With a 4-cylinder, you're limited. You only have 4 connecting rods versus a 6-cylinder. But if the pass is any indication, we should be able to get over 450 foot-pounds of torque.
Yep. And that is something I was actually just talking with the guys this morning about. That is, kind of where do we draw that line? It's one of those things you've always got to kind of lean on past experiences and go from there. But we're pretty much, I want to say, torque wise, how much more we want to push through these.
Yeah, and I mean the good news is in the future we can increase horsepower.
Yeah.
Torque may be kind of capped, but horsepower, sky's the limit as long as we kind of stay below that torque limit. Which means, we can still produce some really fast, fun cars with stock engines.
Yes.
But definitely, if you want to get serious about tuning these rods, they're definitely in your future.
Yeah, we've already got more turbo than the rods can deal with now. So
yeah. How much E85 fueling headroom is left on the Mark 8 GTI platform if going hybrid or bigger turbo in the future? Any fueling products in the works? Will port fueling be a thing on the Mark 8?
We're pushing it more and more. Right now, it's looking really good. We have no concerns with the GTI currently on the 85.
It has headroom. We will be releasing a high pressure fuel pump.
It's the newer gen 350 bar pump, so it does have a good deal more just power potential than the older pump.
Interesting thing about this pump is it's a sealed unit. You cannot swap out the piston like you can in all the other FSI pumps from the past. So as far as I know, we will be the only company on the market with a high flow fuel pump option. That'll be interesting to see how other tuners deal with that.
Yeah, it's definitely not going to be as straightforward as the old stuff.
And then I think absolutely port fuel injection will be a thing.
Yep.
Probably not real soon. We'll put it off as long as we can. But
and thankfully, there's more overhead, so we've got a lot more room to play with on the stock system right now.
Pretty much anything you've seen for the Mark 7 is going to happen for the Mark 8 too. Yes. Same exact concept. Is the Mark 7 Golf R IS38 a better turbo than the Mk8 GTI Garrett? It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. I think the IS38 might have a little bit more up top, but I mean, they're honestly not far off with what they're putting down at the latest.
Do you change anything with launch control on Mk8 Stage 1?
Just a little bit in the way that it engages. I think the launch point is slightly changed based on pedal input. I'd have to go back and look quick. I don't have my notes in front of me on that. But yeah, the launch isn't generally the problem on the GTI. You can blow the tires off that thing, so it's not more.
You don't need a lot more power on launch.
Yeah, and front wheel drive cars are so sensitive too. Like you can do a perfect launch control setup for one car, and then it's just going to be useless on another car. It'll either be too much or not enough. So that is a tricky one. We are going to do more like we have before with just more granular control on pedal. What launch power you can lead with.
Do you guys warranty your tunes if the tune itself causes damage? I have a Stage 1 for my Mk8 GTI. It's my first time tuning anything and want to get all the correct info I can before I get myself into this. Yeah, we stand behind our products. We stand behind our tunes. Honestly, I don't know if there's ever been a time where our tune has damaged or blown a motor. Certainly, if people have blown motors on our tunes, and we always research it and help them diagnose it, and it's never been the result of anything with our tuning.
Yeah, we haven't been able to conclusively find anything that was even remotely close to a calibration issue on where there was. We did this with the 3-liter program.
The supercharged 3 liters, which are kind of problematic motors.
They are. Well, that's the thing is they're getting into like the second, third, whatever owners and maintenance histories may not be necessarily known. Parts in general are getting.
Well, and the intercoolers are leaking. There's reasons.
Parts were out, and then now all of a sudden you're throwing 2 times the power the car started with.
Yeah.
And there was what seemed like a rash of people having issues. We're like, okay, we need to step back and see if this is us or this is what's going on here. And every one of them turned out to be just a component failure or some other mitigating issue that was the root cause of it.
But as a company,
we spent a lot of time, money. We shipped motors here.
Yeah.
We don't take it lightly. We wouldn't go very far.
We have an excellent track record with the B9 3.0T. These motors are producing more power and torque than these GTI motors. So the good news is Stage 1 tuning is almost never problematic. It's a pretty basic tune as far as stressing and pushing the limits of the motor. We, as a company, across the board with all of our products, we do stand behind our products. We are a company that's accountable to mistakes we make, and we will always do our best to support. There are times when customers ask us to do it, and it's not justified, and we do say no to that, and we will always reserve the right to do that. But every day in customer service, we're making resolutions to customers and trying to make things right for people whenever we've caused a problem. Absolutely.
Honestly, and I mean, you can't always lift the curtain to it, but the customer support guys go, I don't say above and beyond.
No, they do.
I mean, far more than I think almost any other company out there. We do try and make this still a fun and engaging, and we're here. You want to have fun with your car, like that's what we want to do.
So many questions. All right, let's move on. All right, real quick. These are our new upcoming RCO lower control arms for the MQB and MQB Evo chassis. These are forged aluminum with revised geometry. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a really cool 034 logo cast in here, so we're not just selling like a Miley arm with a sticker on it. Again, the arm is is forged just like the factory unit. It's been CNC machined to final dimensions where needed. It does have upgraded density bushings, which are stiffer and higher performing than the factory units, which have a lot of voids and use a softer rubber. These have been tested extensively on our in-house cars, on track and on the street. Basically, so right off the bat, these give an additional approximately 0.5 degrees of caster. So it's going to move your whole wheel forward just a slight amount to increase the caster. And
if you want to get spicy, you can also do our top plates, which will essentially move it back a little bit.
Well, yeah, once you mix it in with all of our other products, you can do just about anything. And then up to 1.2 degrees of increased negative camber adjustment via the slotted provisions. So some of the factory arms have slots, but they don't give the additional caster. They don't have the revised geometry or the stiffer bushings. Let's see. Stock steel arms are 6 pounds 4 ounces. Our RCO arms 4 pounds 12 ounces, so 1.5 pounds lighter. Nice little weight savings.
These are forged aluminum. So.
Yep, they're forged. They are not compatible with the 8S TTRS unless you change the ball joint. So TTRS ball joints mount from the bottom. They're not compatible. So you could switch to OEM RS3 ball joints or 034 Motorsport RCO ball joints. Yeah, so they're compatible. You just have to use our ball joints.
Parts.
If you use it with our ball joints, you'll get a tremendous amount of camber adjustment as well. There's a basically if you want to really have a lot of camber adjustment possibility, these arms will give you that. But pretty much anywhere from additional 2 degrees all the way up to 4.5 degrees, depending on what combination of parts you're
You get
using.
pretty crazy with it.
But at minimum, you'll get an additional 1.2. If you combine that with our ball joints, it'll add even more.
Yeah, and up to 9 degrees of caster, which is something people don't take into account
And
as much.
that caster really changes the driving experience. So it makes the steering feel really responsive. And then, of course, it gives you more grip when you're turning.
Cornering, you can think of it as kind of like an active camber while you're cornering, because it actually puts the tire up, in a better orientation.
Yeah.
You're loading that outside tire.
So when we're releasing these, Sean?
They are live on the website.
These are live on our website. Okay. We'll be releasing these in the next day or two, but they're live on the website, and the retail is
$500.
$500 a pair. So I'd say they're very competitively priced to anything out there.
$200 cheaper than
$200 cheaper than another option out there that you may know about. So, all right. You probably won't want to install them because they're so pretty. Maybe you could put them under your pillow for a couple days. All right, let's try to pound out a few more questions.
And you will definitely need an alignment after installing.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, what stage do you recommend for the S4 B9 for track days? For track days, we'll think some of them will be too fast. Do the tunes work on the station wagons? Thanks for making such good tunes.
So, it really depends what your goal is with the car and what you're doing with it. I mean, I wouldn't say you have to go to a specific level for a track day.
No.
Stage one's totally fine. And if, just by the way the questions are asked, I'd say it's probably one of your first ventures to the track. So I'd say, just keep it simple. Don't change too much before you go. Stage one's totally fine if that's what you're on. Look at getting some good brake pads in there, and then just driver mods is what we usually say for track days. Prep is the biggest thing.
Yeah, it's just the stage is based on how much power and acceleration you have. Let's
works totally fine on station wagons too. There's no difference on the
no difference for playing. I have a SQ5 B9 Stage 3 with all hardware. Awesome. I'm definitely going to upgrade to the 810. Well, I still need the RS6 injectors as we don't have E85 and E60 UK.
SQ5 RS6 injectors. These are the RS5 injectors to be more specific.
Yeah, you will need the upgraded injectors that we offer, regardless of whether you have E85 or not. Yep. We are not doing a non-injector file for the 810. It's it's a maxed out file. I have an Audi B8 S5. What options would you recommend for suspension upgrades? From what I can see, the Dyno Plus springs are not available for the A5. Yeah, we don't have S5 springs specifically. Definitely, our rear sway bar. We're about to release a front sway bar as well.
Rear sway bar is transformative.
But rear sway bar is transformative. I would recommend just doing the front and rear at this point. But if you want the car to really be lively and have a really good oversteer character, then just do the rear bar.
Yep.
All of our inserts, our X brace, our strut tower brace, all those things we'll add. As far as springs, I'm not sure what to recommend on those. You may want to consider a coilover setup or something like that. I would stay away from some of the H&R Eibach options. In my experience, they ride really rough.
They're not a very, if you're actually looking for a performing setup.
Yeah. Speaking of pure turbos, what's the main difference between the pure turbo unit and the TT710? Which one would you guys recommend? Yeah, the difference is they have different compressor and turbine wheels that produce different types of power. The feedback that we're hearing, so don't take this as a sponsored recommendation, is that the 750 flows more like the 810 than the 710. So the pure 750 is a good option if you're looking for a lot of power. We don't have a tune for it yet. We're working on it. But and then there is a price difference as well. The TT turbos are from Europe, and those just the additional costs of Europe and bringing it over here do drive the cost up. So the pure seems like a good option, and we will have a tune for it. Right now, the TTE stuff is very popular, and people are very happy with those as well. Love all the 034 bits I've used on both my 2020 TTRS and my new to me 2019 S5. For daily driving, is Stage 2 TCU option that much better?
If we're talking on the S5, I would say absolutely, yeah. It is I mean, as transformative, I think, to the drive as the ECU
the
file.
feedback when we released that TCU tune, people
yeah,
the feedback was incredible.
It really sharpens it up, and I mean, I'm a little biased, but I definitely think it is worth it. You're going to notice.
Yeah, I strongly if you're serious about driving the car, it's something you should do. What's the difference in Stage 2 TC tunes for 93 and E on B9 3.0T?
That is just the shift points. So
Yeah,
if you look at the power curves on those we determine. Well, we in our measurements and our acceleration tests, it is a different enough power delivery that we were able to get a little better times and a little more performance out of adjusting those shift points accordingly. So that's what that's for. Is just it's tailored to the power band of the calibration. You can run it either way just fine. You can run the E85 file with the 93 octane TCU or vice versa. It's going to be fine. It's just the shift points are a little more optimized in each for the given fuel.
Someone says, my wife said I don't need any more car parts. Time for a divorce.
These are safety parts.
Yeah. Will you be hosting a WinterFest this year? Yes. We need to plan that, Nick. We should probably lock down some dates today.
You're not doing anything here at home right now, right?
I think it's going to be in early February, but
that's like a couple weeks away now.
I know. It's like really coming up. We should have already planned it. We're pretty much out of time.
We are past our time now. Unless you're Facebook and did jump in for 9 minutes after we started. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, the RS3 spring set you sell fit other MQB vehicles? Maybe, but we wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, it'll physically bolt into lots of cars, but it's not going to be set up properly for them.
We're pretty much out of time. People want TTA10 files. Yes,
we're
working on it.
We're just doing more and more testing on the track and altitude ECUs. Like we're hammering this one to get it as solid as possible. We flip the switch.
Oh, apparently Nick emailed me in the last 10 minutes and now he's waiting.
Oh,
so I'm the one.
You're the one who turned up.
Right.
All right.
Thanks, Nick. Okay, great. All right. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Hope this was helpful, and I think we'll see you next week.
Yeah.
Cheers.